Elephants were tamed as early as 4500 BC by the Indus Valley Civilization. These elephants were of the Asian elephant species and were used in agriculture. Breeding in captivity was near impossible, and it was difficult to raise elephants from a young age because of their need for a parent example. Because of this, it was only possible to capture and tame adult elephants. It was extremely difficult to tame elephants because of their aggression towards offenders. Male elephants would be the ones used in warfare, because female elephants would only run away from opposing male elephants in battle. During the 4th century BC, Indian use in war became popular in the South Asia region, particularly India. The ancient Indian kings set great value to the elephant in war, some even stating that an army without elephants is as despicable as a forest without a lion, a kingdom without a king, or as valor unaided by weapons. The idea started to spread westward to the Persian Empire, where they were used in several military campaigns. They even came to influence the campaigns of Alexander the Great. The first battle in which the Europeans faced the war elephants was at Alexander's Battle of Gaugamela, where 15 were deployed. These elephants made such a huge impression on the European troops that their leader, Alexander, made a sacrifice to the god of fear the night before. Even though the Persians lost the battle, Alexander absorbed the idea of elephants in warfare and planned to use them in his own battles. A few years later, by the time Alexander had reached the borders of India, he had added numerous groups of elephants under his command. Alexander found that Indian commanders in the Gangaridya and Nanda Empire to the east in India could deploy between 3,000 to 6,000 elephants. The outstanding number of these powerful units effectively halted his advance into India and the east. The Egyptians and Carthaginians started to adopt elephants in their forces for the same purpose. China rarely used elephants in warfare. An early experiment of these forces occurred in 554 AD when the Western Wei deployed 2 armored war elephants in battle. These elephants were equipped with swords tied to their trunks and large wooden towers carrying soldiers on their backs. In the end, the attempt was unsuccessful due to the elephants being turned away by the archers' arrows. The Han Dynasty fought against ancient Vietnamese forces that deployed war elephants. They manufactured common tactics to repel them, like massed artillery or crossbow fire, or digging trenches or holes filled with spikes. Elephants were symbolically used by kings in the Middle East as ways to transport them with style and authority. With the invention of gunpowder in the late 15th century, elephants were not at the advantage for much longer. Even though elephants could easily stand multiple volleys of musket shots, cannons and catapults could topple these giant creatures with ease. Even so, armies in Southeast Asia continued the use of elephants in warfare all the way until the end of the 19th century. One of the major difficulties that armies faced in this region was the harsh terrain, but elephants could more easily cross these terrible obstacles than horse cavalry could. The Siamese army was using war elephants armed with guns up until the Franco-Siamese War of 1893. The Vietnamese used elephants in warfare as late as 1885, their last use being in the Sino-French War. During World War I, elephants were used to transport heavy equipment. Non-trained elephants were used for miscellaneous purposes as late as World War II. They were utilized because they could perform tasks in areas that were problematic for vehicles. William Slim, the commander of the 14th Army, wrote about elephants in an introduction to Elephant Bill. They built hundreds of bridges for us. They helped to build and launch more ships for us than Helen ever did for Greece. Without them, our retreat from Burma would have been even more arduous, and our advance to its liberation slower and more difficult. Elephants have become more valuable to several armies in failing states for their ivory rather than transport, and many thousands of elephants have died during civil conflicts due to poaching reasons. The last recorded use of elephants in war was in 1987, when Iraq allegedly used them to transport heavy weaponry that would be used in Kirkuk.
Almost as famous as Hannibal himself are the elephants he used in battle. These were the Carthaginians' terror weapon. Small numbers of elephants could have a massive effect. It's not hard to imagine why. The sight of charging elephants would strike fear into any right-thinking person facing them.
Elephants are mainly terror weapons. They scare the living daylights out of the enemy, make them run away. They're big, they're grey, they make strange noises, they're smelly, they frighten people. There's something that no one's ever seen before, particularly for a Roman. You've never seen an animal that's that sort of size, and you certainly haven't seen one bearing down on you in great numbers. So all it has to do is turn up and come charging towards you, and you're already pretty scared.
You cannot imagine how fast an elephant can be if he goes wild. The most people, they think an elephant is very slow and because he's so big. He's like 40-45 kilometers per hour. He can move very, very fast. So I think it's a very effective weapon in the war.
The elephants used by the Carthaginians were a smaller, now extinct breed of African elephant from the foothills of North Africa's Atlas Mountains. The deployment of the battle elephant wasn't particularly subtle. Immediately before the battle, the elephants were first plied with wine.
I can imagine he used some alcohol, because elephants, they like alcohol, like beer or wine or something like this. They will drink it, and it's like the effect is like for people. Some people are very shy, so they drink some alcohol, and they're the biggest fighter in the world. And this isn't with an elephant. You can turn the character with alcohol.
The elephants would then be prodded in their ankles. In their inebriated state, this would have made them as mad as hell. Then it was simply a matter of pointing them at the enemy and charging, and hanging on.
The elephant is very big and very large, and it's just going to trample its way through any formation. So they're very formidable. They can break up particularly dense bodies of troops, and cavalry are just frightened by terrifying the horses.
Hardly a weapon of surgical precision, the idea was that they would batter the enemy, breaking their lines.
When an elephant attacks people, he will use his whole body. So, first of all, they will roll the trunk in. They get down with the head, and they attack with the trunk and hit very hard. If they have tusk and use the tusk, you will maybe already be dead by a hit from a tusk. And the feet, they go on and smash everything under the feet. They go like tomato juice.
However, there was a fundamental flaw to this weapon system. They were inherently unpredictable.
The problem is that they're temperamental creatures. They really don't naturally do this sort of thing, and they don't want to be in a noisy, colourful, swirling battle.
By and large, if you have a 5-ton fighting machine, it is better if it isn't temperamental, drunk, and knows who its enemies are. Since running amok is something an elephant can also do very well.
He don't know the difference between Roman people and Carthaginians. They only learn to attack people, and it don't matter what, black, white, yellow, green, they go and attack everything.